So it is day 2 of the latest box, and also day 2 of the month, meaning the season has just reset. And I'm officially gold. That's right, I've played so little Duel Links recently that a player who's been king of games basically every month since the game's release is now playing in the same realm of great innovative deck builders, such as this guy. This is one of the decks I lost to. But if we look on the bright side, that now means I have the perfect arena to test out one of the latest meme decks to hit the game. A deck so powerful I managed to go 15 wins for only 4 losses. Now some of you guys might say this deck takes a lot of luck, but honestly I think it's quite the opposite. This isn't a luck based deck, it's a skull based deck. So here's today's deck list. Now before I go through the deck list, just a reminder, if you enjoy this kind of content, find it useful, or just want to see more of it, make sure to let me know by leaving a like on today's video and considering subscribing to the channel whilst you're down there. The more people that do so, lets me know you guys are actually enjoying this kind of content and want to see more of it, and therefore I'll make more of it. Alright, so today's deck list is Skull Servant. Now for those of you who've never actually played Skull Servant before, I'll give you a little bit of a brief rundown. So the entire purpose of this deck is to send as many of your Skull Servant monsters to the graveyard as possible, whether that be your Skull Servants, or just any of your other monsters, and as when they're all in the graveyard, they're all treated as Skull Servant when they're in there. This means when you normal summon out or special summon out your big boss monster King of the Skull Servants, he has 1000 attack times the number of Skull Servants in the graveyard. This means he has anywhere from 5000 to like 12,000 attack. Meaning in a game where, you know, your life points are only 4,000, you're probably dead. So this deck has 2 new additions to it. The first is your hand trap Wightprincess. This card, when in the hand or on the board, can be sent to the graveyard to reduce the attack of all monsters on board by 300 times their level. So this card doesn't affect your own monsters as your main boss monster is only level 1, but to your opponent's monsters, it could just be a wall disruption. It can make all of your opponent's monsters have like 0 attack, which is pretty detrimental when they try to swing into your 5000 plus attack boss monster and you instantly reduce their attack to 0. They'll probably just die. The other effect of this card is when it is normal summoned, it can then send a Wightprince straight to the graveyard. This card's your other new card. When this card is sent to the graveyard, it can send 1 Skull Servant and 1 White Lady in White straight to the graveyard. This will then give you enough resources in grave for its other effect. This card can banish any 2 Skull Servants from your graveyard and itself, to then special summon your boss monster straight out from the deck. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the deck list portion of the video. The rest of the video will be gameplay showcasing the deck list in action. Remember, if you're enjoying this kind of content and want to see more of it, to make sure to let me know down below. And without further ado, let's get into the gameplay. Alright, so let's get into it. So today I have 4 replays to show you guys. Now remember, all these replays were gathered in gold, so a lot of these deck lists aren't exactly the highest performing deck list you'll ever see in your life, but it's still a good showing of the deck, I think, especially considering some of these deck lists are some of the more better decks in the game. And I didn't really lose much against some of the shittier decks, meaning this deck has got to be at least better than shit, so that's how my logic works anyway. If you're going to try and play this to try to climb to King of Games though, to be warned, it's going to be a much harder run than if you're playing against something like, I don't know, something like the Phantom Knight decks, or if you're playing Magnets or some of the other top tier decks. This is definitely a meme deck and should be treated that way. Alright. So I think my first replay was against, I think one of the newer decks, like one of the new Pendulum decks, Quill Fort, whatever it's called. Whatever it was, I don't think this guy built it very well anyway. So we had a pretty bad starting hand, another Lightsworn spells, didn't get any way to try to send our Skull Servants to the grave, don't even have a hand trap in hand to keep us alive, so instead we just summon Raiden, send 4 cards to the grave and pass the turn. Yes, it's just Quill Fort stuff. Thankfully we did send some Skull Servants, so we summon our boy, he has 3000 attack, he activates his trap card, doesn't do a whole lot, and we just keep going. Activates another trap card, this time actually getting enough attack to beat over our monster. But beating over our monster doesn't do a whole lot in this deck, as when you destroy a monster by battle, we can banish 1 Skull Servant from grave, to then just resummon him. We draw straight into Lumina, Lumina send, special summon, mill 2, he's now got 4000 attack, and our opponent concedes instantly. Alright, game 2. There's actually a lot of cool stuff in this deck. I actually really enjoyed the extra deck of this deck a lot too, because we're running Red Eyes Zombie, which I don't think I got to show off in the actual replays, but it's really fun because you can just summon it out and you've got a billion zombies in your graveyard, so it actually has a billion attack, which, yeah, it's a pretty fun card if you guys have never actually used that one before. Alright. As well as, of course, you've got the Black Rose Dragon, which is the main monster you're going to be summoning from this extra deck. Alright, so our opponent was playing Blue Eyes. This was actually a really good replay. This was definitely the best replay, or the best showing of the deck so far. So our opponent's playing some weird-ass Blue Eyes deck with some, with this card for some reason. But that doesn't matter too much, because our opponent does summon out the Spirit of Wight, and gets a Blue Eyes out as well. And thankfully has no back row, so no back row means we're probably going to have a good time. So we get our Charge of Light Brigade, mill 3, search for Raiden. Going to be discarding the other Raiden, drawing some more cards, sending a Wightprince. Luckily, our opponent has a negate for that one, which is kind of annoying. It doesn't matter too much, because we still have Lumina, who can then send one card from graveyard to then resummon the Raiden, which is really good, because sending a card from graveyard means we can actually send our other Wightprince, which, as you'll notice, isn't even a once per turn, so we can just reuse its effect. Wightprince sending 2 cards, milling even more cards, summoning out our Black Rose Dragon to just completely nuke the board. And since it's non-target removal, even if he summons out his... Oh, he summoned out Stardust? Alright, either way. Bashing our cards, summoning our Skull Servant straight from the deck, 5,000 attack, and it's just lethal on board. And that's going to be the main win con of this deck. A lot of the time you just summon Black Rose, nuke everything, summon King of the Skull Servants, and they die instantly. Most of the time they'll use their back row on your Luminas and your Synchro monsters, meaning your King of the Skull Servants should have a pretty free run to just dick your opponent. Alright, game 3. You also notice too that a lot of these games are really quick, as that's just kind of how the deck functions. You just summon your boss monster, swing in, lethal your opponent. That's just basically how the deck works. Alright, so this guy I think was playing Trains, I think, or some weird variant of Trains anyway. Easy rank up match, one of the many. Yeah, so I definitely played this deck all the way through Platinum and then some, so whether or not this can be a deck that climbs you through Legend pretty easily, I have no idea, but it'll definitely get you out of Platinum pretty quickly if you wanted to play it. Alright, to try to summon Lumina, fortunately he has a Floodgate Trap Hole, bit annoying. Summons out his Dreadnought, which destroys my monster and then turns into a rank 10. Summoning out 5,000 attack, Super Dimensional Robot Galaxy Destroyer. Unfortunately for him though, we have another Lumina. So we can send a bunch more cards, sending in more cards, and then go straight into our Black Rose to nuke the board. He has a World Legacy Clash to keep his monster alive, and reduce my monster to 0, which gets destroyed anyway, so it doesn't matter. Once again, gonna banish some stuff from graveyard, then summon out a King of the Skull Servants with only 2,000 attack. But luckily for us, we have a hand trap in hand. So Monster Reborn brings out his little Stampede, which brings out another monster. Then he can exceed straight into a rank 10. Now I'm pretty sure that one of these cards when removed, one of the materials he had, doesn't the train monster when removed actually destroy a card on board? If this card's attached... Yeah, he could have used this to destroy my King of the Skull Servants here and I would have had a much harder time, but either way, it wouldn't have mattered because this card would reduce to 0 anyway. So I take our Wightprince in hand, reduces his attack to 0 when he tries to swing in, and he takes a bunch of damage. And then just do the exact same thing again, this time with the Wightprince on board, which we normal summon. And yeah, he died. Alright, next game. Yeah, so even if he did activate the effect to remove my monster, I still would have survived, and I still would have had another one in hand, so it didn't really matter in the end. In fact, if anything, he probably would have just given me Destiny Draw, so it just did not matter. Alright, final replay. I think this guy was playing Satella or Stellar Knight, whichever one it is. Alright. So he's playing the Pendulum variant for some reason. I'm not sure why you'd ever want to play that, but anyway. So we'll be using our charge, searching for Raiden, so we have a card to use with our Solar. Discard, draw 2, send another 2, hitting a Wightprince, sending even more cards. Summoning out our Wightprince, swinging straight into his back row. Not going to bother trying to summon our stuff yet, as we're still we're a bit worried about that back row, so we're not going to banish our boys to summon our guy yet. Try to summon Lumina, once again getting flipped face down. Now we're trying to summon our monster now that we've gotten rid of some of that back row there. Unfortunately, he has a drowning mirror force, a little bit annoying. But could be worse. Deneb searching for our Tyre. And now he actually has both of the Pendulum monsters in hand. I've actually never seen this deck be played with the Pendulum monsters, so this is kind of a first for me. Definitely one of those, gold level innovators. Summons out Tyre, summons out the other monsters from Grave, and then goes into Trigger, the new boss monster. Which I'm not really sure why he'd ever go into this over summoning the other one to destroy my monster, as he just gave me back Lumina when he can't lethal me this turn, so... Not really sure why he wouldn't just destroy it, but either way. And we even had the hand trap in hand, so we were still safe even if he had some kind of special summon here. Lumina sending our monster once again, which would normally send some more cards to the graveyard, but I'm pretty sure I've already sent all the monsters I can, so... I think all my Skull Servants are either banished or in the graveyard already. Going to Michael, banish our monster, Wightprince, banish a couple more, special summon out our boss monster, and there's lethal on board. Alright, so that's going to do it for today's replays. I hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, make sure to leave a like down below. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.